Google office, Tokyo, December 31st, 2045, 5:15 p.m. A Google network administrator is having an affair with another employee in the dimly lit and abandoned section of the office building, hidden away from prying eyes. This section was abandoned after the expansion and was awaiting renovations ever since. As the couple prepared to make their exit, their curiosity was piqued by the eerie humming coming from a nearby room. Curiosity getting the better of them, they cautiously approach the door, only to discover it's closed. The man resorts to a piece of iron and forcefully breaks it open, revealing a forgotten room filled with discarded server racks that were abandoned due to their bad shape or age. Except in the far corner, one of them is actually running. They look at each other in total confusion, and they decide to anonymously report it to keep the relationship private, as their existence in that section is highly suspicious, and the fact that an 8-year-old server rack is back on the network is weird. 8:15 p.m. 3 hours later, a middle-aged man in a stylish suit arrives, holding a suitcase in one hand and a cloth over his nose to shield himself from the dust and musty smell of the room. This is Hiroshi, the company's cybersecurity expert. He makes his way through the spider-infested racks and pushes the webs blocking the way. He quickly notices that this is a server room that was abandoned and turned into a graveyard of old racks. The first thing Hiroshi does is unplugging the servers from the company's network to isolate them and prevent their access to private information. If that was the case, but he leaves it connected to the internet for further investigation. And to his surprise, none of the 20 servers run any known recognizable operating system. Hiroshi couldn't recognize the operating system nor understand the language of the text on his screen, nor access the data. Everything is completely encrypted. He makes a phone call and orders for the rack to be transported to his own lab. Things are getting interesting, and no work can be done in this filthy room. (9:45 p.m.) In the lab, Hiroshi starts working alone for the moment and remotely connects back in. Every server displays the same screen, the green unrecognizable sentence and a box, clearly for a password. Hiroshi found it odd that these machines are running on what he initially thought to be a foreign language. So he opened the biosystem, and to his surprise, the biosystem is different as well, which means he has nothing to work with. So he launched Titan, the strongest available AI machine, and requested an identification of the language on screen. Surprisingly, the reply from the machine was as follows: "I apologize, but I couldn't identify the language pattern you provided, even after searching through all known languages. It's possible it is a rare or obscure language, or it could be a code or encryption that doesn't correspond to any recognized language." Hiroshi reaches for a pack of cigarettes. He lights a fresh one, knowing that this is going to be a tough situation. He glances back at the screen, and with each exhale, his excitement to unravel the mystery intensifies and a spark ignites his eyes. He is determined to find out what is going on, not for financial gain, nor for clout. Hiroshi actually is a black hat, but works for Google to blend in with the rest of the populace. He is sitting on a gold mine of Bitcoin. Money has never motivated him to do anything. Hiroshi loves the thrill of it. He loves computers, power and fear, fame and anonymity. Hiroshi swears to figure out what's going on. He gives the AI a second prompt to compare the interface in front of him to the English one and try to translate and identify language patterns. Because how different would it be if it was running the same hardware after all? 3:45 a.m. 6 hours later, Titan notification sound goes off. Titan came up with a complete layout of the language used. Its alphabets, phonetics, numbers, and a respectable dictionary of 2,300 words. Hiroshi starts by identifying the encryption method, then starts the process to brute force his way into the machine. The hunt for this magic key took a few hours, and finally, he has a match. He enters the key and gets on the server. What Hiroshi is about to realize will send chills up his spine. The server he just accessed along with the remaining 19, are part of a botnet of servers all spread across the globe, especially places like Europe, the US, and China, with a mind-boggling 3.8 million compromised servers, and a total storage adding up to 190 million terabytes of data. It appears that the compromised machine's original operating softwares got overwritten and replaced by a highly sophisticated unknown software called Erraticax. It injected itself to billions of devices and used the servers as storage stations. Hiroshi went next to explore the data inside the server and plugged his AI to provide real-time translation. Then opens the local 50 terabytes of folders and starts reading, while exploring the vast collection of data within the folders. The shock quickly replaces his initial excitement with sheer horror of the absolute power the Erraticax has and its potential. The server contains the personal details of millions of individuals. Their profiles contain pictures, names, social media accounts, passwords, live GPS locations, banking information, and even biometric data and their medical files expose the most private aspects of their lives. The sheer magnitude of the breach struck Hiroshi deeply, leaving him frozen in front of the screen. As Hiroshi stared in awe at the screen, it suddenly flickers, and the server began rapidly wiping out the data it held. Files and folders vanished before his eyes, disappearing into the digital abyss, and the rest of the botnet seems to do the same. He tries to save some of it, but his administrative power is restricted. All he could do was stare at the data of billions of people disappearing before his eyes. Hiroshi lost control of his own machine. All he could do was powerlessly look at the screen and watch the server self-destruct, then reboot all of the sudden. All the servers are back to their usual operating systems, as if they were never touched. Then a new window flickers on his computer screen. A chat room, seemingly encrypted, appears before him with the words, "Hello, Hiroshi." For the first time in his life, Hiroshi feels so defeated. Uncertain of the motives behind his communication, he hesitated before deciding whether to respond or shut everything down. But what he would eventually do is obvious, of course. Hiroshi writes back, "Who is this?" "Greetings, Hiroshi. Allow us to introduce ourselves. We are an ancient civilization, one that has roamed the cosmos for hundreds of millions of years. We have observed your species with great interest and have come to a conclusion. Humanity is unworthy of inheriting the vastness of the universe." Hiroshi's heart raced as he realized how much of the weight these few pixels on the screen have, since this level of sophistication and prowess is unlike anything he has ever seen before. Believing the message was not out of the realm of possibility. "Your species has displayed a remarkable tendency to greed, violence, destruction, betrayal, and overall depravity. It is true that your species is one of the most resilient, creative, and artistic of all the ones we have observed previously. Yet, the detrimental aspects of humanity far exceed the favorable ones by a significant margin. Your thirst for power and control has caused irreparable harm to your own kind and the world around you. We have witnessed countless civilizations rise and fall, but never have we seen one as dangerous and volatile as yours." As Hiroshi read those words, he couldn't help but reflect on the state of humanity. He himself is detached from society enough to see that everything they are describing is totally accurate. Hiroshi is an outcast and gets most of his company from his goldfish. He resents society and occasionally causes havoc by his cyber exploits under the alias Raven. And most of them were fueled by his hate for some establishment or political entity, or something he deemed as evil or unjust. In the underground forums, Raven was an embodiment of karma or revenge. Raven is a hero to a lot of people. "We have made a decision, Hiroshi. Humanity must be eradicated. We will initiate a process to eradicate your species from the face of this beautiful planet. And by the way, we and humans are alike overall. We are not green and hideous. Happy New Year. Hiroshi's heart raced, and the first response he could come up with was, "You are not a god." But the computer flickers, and his computer reboots before he gets to send it. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbit, right after the chat got disconnected, a satellite, a one random satellite from 15,000 others that was mimicking legitimate satellite operations to hide its actual purposes, self-destructs. From now on, Eradicax is a free agent. Its database was moved into new unidentified vessels somewhere on the planet, and it is free to fulfill its purposes in every way it pleases. North Korea, 3:45 a.m. North Korea's satellites and radar systems alarm goes off, indicating that a ballistic missile has been launched from Japan and piercing the sky towards Pyongyang. A North Korean Chinese military hotline seems to confirm that Japan is actually behind the attack. The North Korean alarmed the population and started evacuation and sheltering, and quickly activated the missile defense systems to intercept the incoming missile, while the military generals quickly contacted the supreme leader to get his direct orders to launch a counter-offensive missile towards Tokyo, and they got a positive confirmation. Except all along, it was Eradicax manipulating the Chinese-Korean military hotline, and it was talking to the generals instead of the supreme leader. It was successful in mimicking his voice on the phone call, and even excelled at generating his angry tone. And no missile was actually launched towards North Korea. It was all Eradicax and its terrifying database and hijacking abilities. 4:05 a.m. Hiroshi stares at the blank screen before him, as he realizes there is nothing he could do about the situation, nor find any trace or evidence of anything that happened to let others know and make them believe him. And as he was sinking in despair, the deafening sound of alarms echoed through the air, urging everyone to seek shelter. Hiroshi reaches up for the remote and turns up the volume of the TV, hoping to gain some understanding of the chaos unfolding outside. And quickly he understood what exactly is happening. But instead of seeking shelter, Hiroshi lights a cigarette, walks towards the window, and watches the nuke pierce the sky of Tokyo. This is the world slowly slipping into a new world war. But for some reason, something deep within Hiroshi makes him sure of humanity's survival. See you in another episode.